What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Game Over Gerkinman, and welcome back again to The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, a game that I don't think anyone has ever Let's Played before. We are playing this on the Wii U, and I just did a little test, and it actually is capturing at a full 1080p, which is fucking awesome. Demon's Souls didn't record at 1080p, the PlayStation 3 had to render that at 720, but here we are, playing Ocarina of Time, 1080p. Weird, whatever, we're all familiar with this game, let's get into it. Oh yeah, that was my test character, Twink. But this isn't Game Over Twink. This is Game Over Gerkinman, we gotta get this shit right. Can I fit? I can't fit the whole word Gherkin in there. Let's just go with G-Man, as I usually do whenever I play these things. Yeah, just before I hit enter, the long cutscene begins. Why Ocarina of Time? Well, because I tried once before and it didn't turn out. And far be it from me to leave a series unfinished. We're diving straight back in again. This is comfort food right here, folks. Comfort food. So let's get comforted right now. I just remember I'm going to have to do a lot of reading. In the vast deep forest of Hyrule, long have I served as the guardian spirit. Oh, I am known as the Great Deku Tree, as I did in my Gerkinman episode 4, when I did my best bad Sean Connery impression. The children of the forest, the Kokiri live here with me. God, voice acting in games, why did I pick a game where I'd have to voice act? Each Kokiri has a fair... You already know all this shit, you've all played through this game like 10 million times. Instead, let's talk about things. Like, the first time I saw this, the background, I couldn't understand the idea of a pre-rendered background as a kid. Seeing that image with a 3D model on it, like, my brain just couldn't comprehend that. I thought those were the graphics. I guess technically they are the graphics. But yeah, that shit blew me away as a kid, that's for sure. You know, for the time, these cutscenes are actually pretty well directed considering the limitations of the hardware. Ganondorf's introduction here is pretty fantastically handled, and I will say the Wii U's Nintendo 64 emulation does look really good. Like, these were never great looking games to begin with, but the Wii U does a really good job of cleaning that up and letting you see it properly. Nevi, where art thou? Come hither. Hither thee, little Elfie. Oh, Navi, the blue fairy. Oh, I just said blue because it's written in blue. We're off to a great start today, folks. I gotta learn how to read the English again. Listen to my words, the words of the Deku Tree. Dost thou sense it? The climate of evil descending upon this realm. Malevolent forces even now are mustering to attack our land of Hyrule. For so long, the Kokiri forest, the source of life, has stood as a barrier, deterring outsiders and maintaining the order of the world. But before this tremendous evil power, even my power is as nothing. That reads like a sentence you would expect to find in one of the Star Wars prequel films. I wish I could wish my feelings away. It's very similar to that. Good writing. It seems the time has come for the boy without a fairy to begin his journey. The youth whose destiny it is to lead Hyrule to the path of justice and truth. Never I go now. Find a young friend and guide him to me. I do not have much time left. Fly, never I. Fly. The fate of the forest, nay, the world depends upon thee. I don't know why the Deku Tree is the only character who's... I forgot what the actual word is for it, where you deliberately write things in a way where you can kind of read in your head with an accent that they would have. You don't see it that much in games, and I believe the Great Deku Tree is the only character in this game that it actually does that with. Odd choice, but, you know, that stems to breaks. Every time I play this, it's like playing it for the first time. No, not quite. But after playing later Zelda games, coming back to Ocarina of Time and playing through the opening hours is just like the easiest, breeziest thing. Do 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 do. Oh, Navi. Kick this, or Navi. I think people still argue about its pronunciation. I really don't care. Hello, G-Man. Wake up. The Great Deku Tree wants to talk to you. G-Man, get up, you lazy fuck. You fucking lazy piece of shit, come on. Now, I never understood this. I don't know if he's supposed to be, like, sad or upset, or if he's just really tired. But she's calling him lazy, you know, he's just... He sounded like he was upset about something, possibly the dream he was having. And she's like, fucking torturing him, but then he just gets up like, you're fine. It's all good. You finally woke up. I'm Navi the Fairy. Hi. The Great Deku Tree asked me to be your partner from now on. Nice to meet you. The Great Deku Tree has summoned you, so let's get going right now. One of my favorite things about the 3DS remake of this game is actually they sped up the text speed considerably, which is nice. I'm going to try to remember how the Wii U buttons are laid out, but I do kind of wish for this Virtual Console release that they kind of upped the resolution. Like, I wouldn't expect much, but they could have upped the resolution on these pre-rendered backgrounds at least. That would have been nice. Hello, Yahoo! Hi, G-Man. We're supposed to talk to her, but we're not going to because I'm going to assume that everyone who is watching this... I know, actually, Paul, if you're watching this, I know you're not as familiar with this game as most people are who are watching this, because like, everyone else has played through this game 10,000 times. Ironically, I play through this game maybe like once a year, but, or at least I was playing through it at least once a year, but it's not my favorite Zelda game. I don't even think it's in my top 5 Zelda games, but there's just something about it that makes it fun to replay. And I don't know what, like, I find it more replayable than Majora's Mask, even though Majora's Mask is my favorite, and, it's more replayable than Twilight Princess, and I think Twilight Princess is a much better game too in a lot of ways. But for some reason, I don't know what it is. I just keep coming back to it. But for those not in the know, normally you would go to the shop and there's a shield there that you need to get. You need money to buy the shield, and there's a sword up here. The game doesn't really tell you any of this stuff. You go see, try to get to the Great Deku Tree, and there's a little dickhead in the way, and he won't let you through unless you get all these certain items, so... For those of us who've played through this game a million times before, you kind of know to do it, but I remember the first time I rented this game, like, I think I got up to the Deku Tree eventually, and I couldn't even finish the Deku Tree. Like, I got stuck there. And I don't think that it was because the game was hard or too cryptic or anything like that. But I know a lot of people who played this game had first played A Link to the Past, and I didn't grow up playing the Zelda series. I think I played a little bit of Link's Awakening when I was in high school, which was around actually I think I played it around the time that this came out. But a lot of what it didn't really translate into 3D so much. I don't think I really associated the games to each other all that much. So I remember when I first rented this, it was probably... If it came out in 1998, I don't think I played it the year it came out. I might have played it a year or two after it came out. But I remember just, like, not understanding it. I couldn't wrap my head around it. I thought it was very magical. I loved the way it felt, and the, you know, cutting up plants and signs and all that, and the music and the world around me. I thought it was all very, very, you know, captivating and interesting, and I really loved it in that level. But I could not get far into it because I just didn't understand mechanically. Like, I'd never played anything like this before, and I guess in a lot of ways it was the first of its kind in a lot of these regards, but still, It wasn't until I picked it up a second time, probably months later, that somehow something clicked and I understood. And I don't think there's any rupees up here. But yeah, I think I need 40 from memory. Yeah, I will say if you're going to play one version of this, play the 3DS version. With Majora's Mask, I think both versions of the game have positives and negatives. There are some things I like about the 3DS remake more than the original. Quite a lot of things, actually. But then there are other things with the 3DS remake that I don't like as much as the original. There are things that they changed, such as the bosses, that I don't think worked as well as they had originally hoped they would. I'll put it that way. But that's just my personal opinion. I don't know if you feel any different. I would assume that you would, because if we all felt the same way, life would be very boring. But yeah, interestingly, I never actually owned a physical copy of Ocarina of Time. I used to rent it a lot, and then when I got a PC that could emulate the Nintendo 64 and I got a Logitech controller, I remember playing it on there a lot, like on emulator, but I never owned a physical copy of the game, which is kind of sad. I'm like one of the only people who's a fan of this series that never actually owned it. I didn't own Majora's Mask either, actually. Never owned Super Mario 64 or GoldenEye, or I did own Donkey Kong 64. Ooh la la. What a classic. Yeah, like this little tutorial area. I guess like Twilight Princess tried to do this as well and did a much worse job of it, but it just puts you in like a safe space where you can safe space. Where you can just by using A by the stone, pick it up. A by the stone, pick it up. Mean old Mido, he made me pick up the rocks in front of his house. I don't know if Mido's got rupees in his house, but I'd like to fucking break in there and steal them if he does. Ugh. Yeah, Twilight Princess's opening is actually very similar to this in a lot of ways, where it's about grabbing a couple items before you can move on, but it's sluggish. I never even realized this was Mido's house. Now I don't feel so bad about breaking in. Yes, please. I'm gonna take all your shit, Mido, because you're a cunt, and no one likes you. You're a ginger bastard. This, the pre-rendered backgrounds you see here was something that they... Thankfully, I'm not personally a big fan of them myself, but thankfully they, I mean, you might like them. I think the way the camera works is kind of clever and interesting to kind of give the illusion of it being 3D space, but I'm not a huge fan of the way that side of things works, but thankfully Majora's Mask, I don't think it has any pre-rendered areas like that, and I can't imagine they were very kind on the cartridge space, which is probably why they were so horribly compressed. Hey G-Man, look up this way. Look over here with Z and talk to me with A. Hey, how you doing? I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Yes, that's how you use a fairy. It's so great that you finally have a fairy partner. That sounds like you're making fun of my sexuality, little lady. I'll teach you how to talk properly using your fairy. Oh, I don't want to know that. Z-targeting was a big deal when this game came out. It's everywhere now. In fact, Demon's Souls that I'm currently playing through uses it. Not that I particularly use it very much in that game, but when you first play through, it definitely makes things easier. Thank you for all this cool shit, man. I will press R to defend. Thank you. Thank you for the advice, the sound advice. And I'm poor now, so I won't buy anything more. But thanks. Yeah, I think sometimes the targeting is underappreciated as a gameplay mechanic, as a solution to a problem. But yeah, we're ready to move on. That was the tutorial. I mean, there was a little bit of text, but really, it kept it absolutely minimum, which is something I wish later Zeldas did, because they've gotten so bad. If you want to see the Great Deku Tree, you should at least equip a sword and shield, you cunt. Oh, you did. Eh, what's that? Oh, you have a Deku shield. And what's that? Is that the Kokiri sword? Oh, good grief. Well, even with all that stuff, a wimp is still a wimp, huh? Why, the Great Mido, the Great Ginger will never accept you as one of us. Ah, shoot, how did you get to be the favorite of Soraya and the Great Deku Tree? Yeah. Look at his little waddle there. His walk cycle has his knees still out. Hilarious. I love the innovations in this game. Like, they're all pretty, well, they're very of the time. But, there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's quite endearing, actually. I got a Deku stick. Hooray! Z-targeting is definitely a, actually, it's kind of weird. Like, I literally just finished recording Demon Souls yesterday and then diving straight into this. Like, the difference in controls is kind of startling, considering that they're basically trying to do a very, very same thing. There's just a big generational gap between them. I'm the great Deku tree. Come inside me. Oh, Navi, thou hast returned. G-Man, welcome. Listen carefully to what I, the great Deku tree, am about to tell thee. I love the fact that he puts his name in front of, like, we already know who you are. We've, what, anyway. Thy slumber these past moons must have been restless and full of nightmares. And the fact that he's saying that is why I thought the reason that Link didn't get up at the start of the game is not because he was lazy or sleepy, but because he was having a nightmare. But very, very mixed messages from the game already. Timeless classic, 10 out of 10 IGN. As the servant of evil gains strength, a vile climate pervades the land and causes nightmares to those sensitive to it. Verily, thou hast felt it. G-Man, the time has come to test thy courage. I have been cursed. I need you to break the curse with your wisdom and courage. Dost thou have courage enough to undertake this task? Hell no, I'm just a kid, man. Perhaps you do not yet have a confidence in your abilities. Return to the Kokiri forest to learn the skills of combat. When thou art ready, return here and speak with me by using G. I thought he... Really? I thought it used to automatically put you, he'd go, you're good, kid. Just do it. Well. That's surprising me, actually. I didn't expect that to happen. I didn't know that would happen. Did that really always do that? Huh. I have been cursed. I need you to break the curse with your wisdom and courage. Again, dost thou have courage enough to undertake this task? Yes. Yes. Then enter. Come inside me, brave G-Man. Bow to Navi. Navi the Fairy, thou must aid G-Man, and G-Man, when Navi speaks, use the upper C button, which doesn't exist on this controller, to listen well to her words of wisdom. Yeah, on your first playthrough, listen to Navi, but after that, don't bother anymore. It's not worth it. And that's already it for this episode, man. I'm good. These episodes are going to be pretty short. Except for the dungeons, the dungeons will be a little bit longer for the most part, but I'm going to be keeping this series a very short little snippet, episodic little things like this. I feel like the game's laid out in a way where it's in almost like a little mini episode format. You can kind of, the game has a flow to it, and I'd like to stick to that. So thank you for joining me. I hope you join me next time. Sorry if my voice acting's a bit shit. I really don't know what to do with the voice acting in this game, or if I should be reading everything, or if it's just one of those things. But anyway, next time we're gonna go inside this big hole in this old man tree. So I hope you join me for that, you filthy animals. And I'll catch you next time. Peace out and have a good one.